Hey everyone, I'm Richard, this is Grey Wizard Gaming, and today I'm talking about what is Shadowrun Sprawl Ops. So I did a box opening a while ago, but I hadn't played it at that point in time because it was a box opening. So I am now doing kind of like an intro overview, also some tips on how to play the game better now that I've actually played the game. It's somewhat similar to Lords of Waterdeep, but unlike Lords of Waterdeep, I think the theme is even stronger. I think this theme is very tightly implemented into the gameplay in a way that really satisfies, I think, either role players, people who play tabletop role-playing games, or people who love Shadowrun, whether it's the books, the endless amounts of tabletop role-playing source material, the video games, whatever. If you like Shadowrun, you're probably gonna like this game. It's very, very satisfying. If you don't know Shadowrun, just real quick, it's just this dystopian world, kind of like maybe Blade Runner or Ghost in the Shell, and combine that dystopian world with corporations owning everything and we're all just crushed under the heels of the mega corporate boot. Totally unlike real life at all. Take that Aztec end of the world drama that kept going around for a couple years, and in the Shadowrun universe, the world ended. Kinda. The fifth world ended and the sixth world started. And the sixth world added magic, like magic reawakened, just like the fourth world. So you have, just cyber tech, blades coming out of their arms and cyber eyeballs and big giant mega guns and all this stuff combined with mages and trolls and orcs and dragons and all kinds of stuff. Some of those things survived throughout history, even into the fifth world. Some things basically vanished completely, but we still had stories. So those stories apparently were real in Shadowrun. They were just gone while magic was gone. What do you do with these three people? Well, you take these people and you move around to different locations and you compete for better gear and better replacement, more people, because you need to add more people to your team, and you just kind of like go through that. So I'm going to go into kind of a deep dive of what's on the board, what are the components, and what do they do. So first of all, you choose a city. In this case, I have Seattle out, but it could have been Germany or Japan or Chicago, something like that. And in each of these cities, you have some core functionality that you would experience if you were a team of Shadowrunners in that city, or any city really. So in this case, we have things that you can purchase and upgrade your team. First, you have the crime mall, where you can buy gear like rigger interface, heavy weapon mounts, Ares Roadmaster. Then you have the Gear's Lair. The Gear's Lair is a place where you can buy special loot or special perks, upgrades. Or also you can buy from the discarded gear pile. That's super cool. Hannibal's Host. In Seattle, this is a place that you can recruit more Shadowrunners. So you can get mages, you can get hybrid adepts, you can get, deckers and riggers and things like that. Then you can buy, the core of a lot of people in Shadowrun is their cyberware. So you can buy different upgrades for your character. You can either buy comm links, dermal plating in your skin, or there are a few unique upgrades, and those upgrades change. Actually, all of these upgrades change every round. You also can, from there, things that are not upgrades, there's actions you can perform. So the Eye of the Needle gives a perk to your character depending on the type of archetype that you're playing. So faces can do things that are different than mages or street samurai, things like that. Then you can go to a Mr. Johnson. With Mr. Johnson, you can get a mission. And the missions are the primary way in the game that you earn big money. And that's how you build up until you finally have enough stuff to finally take on the final mission. And whoever does the final mission wins. So that's good training. And like I said, there's perks, rewards, loot, and generally bigger money rewards that you can take from Mr. Johnson. Is basically half the game is spent with missions. All right. You can also go to the Dock Wagon. Dock Wagon is like an insurance company. They will come and rescue your person so that they don't end up hurt or dead during a mission. And then finally, there's work. Now, I talked about Mr. Johnson where you can get missions, but also there's just some like odd jobs kind of thing. So you can do bodyguard work where you can earn a little bit of money. It's a little bit dangerous, but you can't die. You can get injured, but you can't die. So that's good. Data steal. So again, you can't die. You can hack. You can earn some money. You can also earn some loot. So hacking data and information and stuff, that's totally Shadowrun. Dante's Inferno. So you can have your Shadowrunners go out and rent themselves out. And with that, the better you've geared them, the more they're worth. So if you don't think that you want to risk dying and or whatever on bodyguard work or data steal, whatever, you can instead just take flat money, no roll with Dante's Inferno. But the downside here is people can hire your character. And so your character may help them to complete their missions. Something to keep in mind. All right, so the next phase. So the first phase, you just kind of, compete for things, and different locations have limited numbers of people. So like the Gear's Lair, only one runner per round can go to the Gear's Lair. So you go there and you buy a loot. Now nobody else can this round. Or you go to the Eye of the Needle. Well, it's the number of players minus one. So if that's a 2-player game, only one person can go here every round. Actually, a lot of them are like that. So the other thing, of course, is that if I go here and buy the Ares Roadmaster, then nobody else can buy the Ares Roadmaster. So even though there's an unlimited number of people who can go to the crime mall, once someone has bought that gear, that's it. That gear is theirs. Now, if you go to Max's Ironworks, number one, it's limited. So only number of players minus one can go there. But also, once you upgrade a character, that gear, that comlink is implanted in them. And if the character dies or gets replaced, you lose that upgrade with them. Everything else you keep. You keep the car. The guy doesn't take the car with him when he dies. But implants, cyberware, that's theirs. So you want to be careful who you send to go get stuff. So let's talk about missions. After you've all placed all of your runners and done all the things you're going to do, then you move on to missions. So if you took a mission from the Mr. Johnson, or if you want to attempt the final mission, then you can do that. And the way it works is you take the mission that you got from the Mr. Johnson, and you look, and there's different phases. And you can attempt a phase. In between phases, you can quit. Once you choose to do the mission, then you have to do phase one. After you do phase one, you can say, this is too hard. I'm hurt. I'm out of here. That's fine. Discard the mission. You're done. But if you continue on, you're stuck. You have to do the next phase. Once you're done with that phase, you get any rewards for that phase. In this case, 10,000 Nuyen. And then you have to choose, do you keep going? If you complete all the phases, then you get the money. Now to complete a phase, you look at all the symbols on your Shadowrunners and all their gear, and make any decisions your gear might make you make. And then you roll. And you can roll 3 times. You have to roll all the dice up to 3 times. And you have certain numbers of injuries. You have certain numbers of successes. You can have, you can use 2 symbols as a wild card to pass any symbol you need. You can use any success to cancel an injury. And at the end, you either made it or you didn't. If a Shadowrunner got injured, then he's no longer able to roll any of his dice anymore. If a Shadowrun got injured twice, then he's dead. So you know that's the core of the game, and this is the fun. Honestly, the fun of the game is doing these missions and seeing the work of you've put this together, this team with different symbols and different gear, and can you win with your choices? And that's it. That's how missions work. So just some tips, which I use to win when I play, and I think that they'll serve you well. First of all, do your best as soon as possible to recruit either a mage or another face, okay? If you have a mage, then you can send the mage to the Eye of the Needle to allow you to take a runner and place him into a new location, activating that location. So that's going to allow your face to activate twice per turn. I think it's hugely valuable to get cheap upgrades in the very beginning. This really only applies to the beginning. Also, if you're playing with more players, it may or may not be as useful, because with more players, there's maybe more contention and you may not be able to get the Eye of the Needle as reliably. Tip 2, avoid upgrading your starter face. I think most of the time you're going to dismiss your starter face for a better face. Now, if you hire a second face, that means, right, you have so many slots, you have 4 slots. If you hire a second face, you can buy stuff twice as cheap, half as expensive, whatever, with your second face. That's great. Then at some point, you get rid of that first face and you replace them with a rigger or a mage or something like that. But in the very beginning of the game, money is tight. Later on in the game, money is not as tight. So you just want to activate 2 faces per round as much as possible, those first like 2 or 3 rounds. And if you put cyberware upgrades on your face, you're gonna lose them. So I don't recommend it. Just don't. Tip number 3, gear that gives your characters more types of dice than their archetype normally allows are some of the best type of gear in the game. And the reason for this is that if you give a character that does not normally have a certain color of dice, like if you can give your street samurai a blue die, now when an injury comes in, then you can apply that injury to your street samurai or any character like that. So if you really need a lot of blue dice and you have an injury come in, apply that injury to the guy who has blue dice. And then you get to keep your mage, or vice versa, you know, black damage to your mage, and now your street samurai is still useful. So I really, really love loot that, even though it's more expensive, gives me dice that I shouldn't normally have for that character. Combine that with a comm link and you can have even more different, like more of those dice if you need it. Tip number 4, don't waste money. If towards middle of the game, end of the game, you start having a lot of money, and the loot can be really, really amazing. I think using the Gears layer to get extra loot, I think data steal to get extra loot. These things, getting loot is great. And it can either you don't get money, like in data steal, because you chose loot instead, or you spent money on loot. Both are great in the middle of the game. I wouldn't get loot over equipment, over gear, because loot is one time only. But in the beginning of the game, no. Later in the game, yes. You're gonna have way too much money. If you end the game with too much extra money, it's just a waste. The best, whoever dies with the best toys wins. Is that the phrase? I don't know. Tip number 5. Do not wait until you have the best possible team in the entire game before attempting the final mission. It's not fun. It's just not fun. I'm not saying it won't help you to win the game, but if somebody else does the final mission first because you wanted one more purple die, you're going to be sad. So just remember, it's not supposed to go that. Take some risk. You're a Shadowrunner. Take some risk. Pad the odds in your favor, but take some risk. So what are my thoughts? I love Shadowrun, but I dislike most of the games. I do. This game is a huge mess. It's hard to grok when I look at it at first. Like now that I've played it, it's easy. It is easy. It is. But before I played it, there's just something about it. There's just so many loose pieces. The box is so compact, which has the negative side effect of you just pulling stuff and pulling stuff and pulling stuff, and you have to organize everything, and nothing really seems like it has a great place to live. All this stuff. There's duplicates of things, and this is just because I have a legendary edition, but it resulted in me having a lot of extra stuff that I just didn't know what to do with. How do I play with it? This is very much an American style game. I just feel like it's an American style game, and that is something that a lot of people are not going to like. I don't know if it's balanced. I really don't. There's a lot of dice rolling to the game. So a few bad rolls, several times. I rolled almost all injuries. It's a 1 in 6 chance on each die, and I got most, maybe all injuries. It's just random, right? I still won. So you can't worry about it too much, that the dice are unlucky sometimes and you're going to have a bad round, because you have to play for the game and the odds should kind of equal out. But it is a random game that's maybe not balanced, but I love this game. This game is super fun. I love worker placement games, and my group loves worker placement games. And it just seems like worker placement games, you can take somebody who really isn't good at games and give them a worker placement game and they'll have fun. It's something, there's just something about it I really like. This game feels the most like an RPG light. You have gear, you're doing missions, you're upgrading characters, you're getting dock wagon contracts, you're doing all this stuff that feels very, very Shadowrun. And it's fast and it's easy. You can easily set this game up and put it down, no problem. And that's a huge win. A lot of my other games that I love, I don't play them almost ever because I don't want an hour setup. This is a fast setup, fast breakdown, and that's great. So I really like this game. I really hope more people play this game, and I hope that we get either expansions or other games like this. I loved Lords of Waterdeep. I love some of the other not so thematic. I know some people are like, oh, you love worker placement games, then you need to play this worker placement game. I do love worker placement games. I do. Somebody brought over Ants. I think it's Ants. and you just play ants in an anthill and you're all competing with things on the anthill garden or whatever. Super cool. Actually, I love ants, but it wasn't Shadowrun. It wasn't Battletech. It wasn't Dungeons and Dragons or Eberron or, you know, I like thematic games. Most of my games are thematic games, and you really have to hook me with a theme, and this game hooks me. This game is not just pictures of characters. I've badmouthed some franchise games before where I just feel like they just print out, you know, pictures, and they tell me because it has their picture on it, I should give them money. I'm telling you, I will give you money. But I won't be happy about it. I'm a total franchise just slut for things like this. But this, I feel satisfied. I actually feel like I got my money's worth. So yeah, that's it. What do you guys think? Have you played it? Are there other thematic games, even maybe not worker placement games, thematic games that you like? Man, this was great. It's not just pictures or names where they're trying, like they bought an IP and they really want to sell me the thing because they spent a lot of money on their IP. That's not this. Tell me about some other thematic games, because I love pop culture and I love geeky stuff. So if it's a game based off of, you know, Umbrella Academy, chances are I'll want to buy it because I love Umbrella Academy or X-Files or any other thematic franchise thing. So with that, guys, please click like, please click subscribe. The next giveaway is at 2,000 subscribers. We're really close. So I'll try to make it something special. Also, I should have some cool announcements starting next month for another project, another set of videos that are going to be coming out. And it's set around H.P. Lovecraft work, so I think you guys will like it. All right, bye.
Turn around, I can't see your face. Tell me, where did you go? Was it something I did, something I said that made it all fall down? Baby, I need to know, 'cause I'm losing my faith. And the more I give, the less I get.